Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and I am here to talk about Orphan Black, episode 410, titled From Dancing Mice to Psychopaths, which premiered last week on Thursday, June 16, 2016, on BBC America and Space. So that makes today June 23rd. So I've had about a week to process the season finale and the news that came with it, but let's get right into it. Since it is season finale, I'm going to go 15 minutes this time. And let's begin. So something new that we learned in this finale, and quite a bit happened actually, but for Sarah, she officially meets Crystal, who doesn't really believe the whole clone truth. She actually doesn't see any resemblance between her and Sarah, so Sarah's a little gobsmacked by that. Not quite expecting that reaction. But anyways, we get Sarah impersonating Crystal to get answers from Dr. Van Leer about Rachel and Susan and what's going on with Evie Cho. So we finally got a clone impersonation thing going on, which was what I was hoping for, and was completely unexpected, I'll say that. We also get Sarah worrying about Cosima, since she is not only alone on the island, well, alone in the sense that no one else from Clone Club is there, but Cosima's gone dark. So that worry forces Sarah to go to the island to try to find Cosima and bring her back home, only to find herself in a fight with Rachel, which gets her a knife to the leg. That definitely doesn't go as planned. And the end of the episode has Sarah finding out, when she tries to call home, that Ferdinand has her family as his prisoners back at the safe house. So that's an unfortunate cliffhanger for Sarah. When it goes to Cosima, we see the episode start with her having successful results in regards to her recreation of the original genome, only to then be locked out of the database, only to then have all communications blocked from her. She gets herself locked in a room because Susan doesn't want her interfering. We also see Cosima's health getting worse. It really is a race against the clock for Cosima. But then she finds herself not only freed, but running for her life when Charlotte comes and takes her away with instructions from Susan to get out as quietly as possible before Rachel finds them. So during their pursuit to escape the island, Cosima somehow finds herself reunited with Delphine just as her health gets worse. And we learn that Cosima was the one who stole the cell samples that were used to recreate the genome. So there's that, but once again, Cosima's health is on the brink again, like all finales. When it comes to Allison, though, while in the episode she was not featured because she was mentioned saying that she was sick in the woods. Apparently, wildlife was not treating her well. But Allison was featured in a scene that was cut from the episode that Official After Show After the Black on Space had shared with its viewers, and it basically had Allison and Donnie on the phone with Sarah as she's on the helicopter ride to the island, and it showed Allison having her faith renewed and seeing Helena as an avenging angel as she has provided shelter for the Allison and Donnie. And speaking of Helena, like I said, she is shown in her little woodland hut with Donnie eating her stew by her campfire, with Allison off screen getting sick. So there was that. We even have Helena offering to kill Evie Cho for Clone Club, though Sarah tells her to stand down, or it's Mrs. S who I think tells her to stand down. So there's that. Now Rachel, when it comes to Rachel, she definitely makes a big power play with Neolution and the board members. Basically, she approaches them, telling them that she wants to combine the clone project with Evie Cho's implant bot project. Don't really see why she'd want to combine the two together, but she really wants to be the sole leader in this position of power. We also see later on, back at the island, that Rachel stabs her own mother which is Susan, after Susan makes a comment about how she regretted making Rachel while she did not regret making Sarah or Cosima. So that really sets her off too. Can't really blame her for that. And then we also, after all of that and her fight with Sarah, we see her preparing to meet a special member of the Neolution board. And we don't see his face, we don't learn a name, but there are some allusions as to who it could be, some hints, but for all we know, it could be misleading to surprise us even further. So there's that. Moving on to MK, we don't see her at all, so I'll go quickly into Crystal. And like I said earlier, Crystal meets Sarah officially, though she does not see any resemblance between the two of them. She thinks she is a 10 while Sarah is a 7. But she shares her cosmetic conspiracy theory, which she thinks is completely right. But she ends up finding herself stuck playing board games with Scott and Hell Wizard while Sarah's impersonating her. And we actually see Crystal wearing Sarah's clothes, which was kind of funny. So away from the clones now, we see with Felix, he actually meets with Crystal, who wanted to swap some intel, which when she didn't talk, he is forced to introduce the two clones together. And we actually see Felix back at his apartment. He stays behind though, but we actually see him paint his spray painted wall of masterpiece. And the last piece was a self-portrait of himself. So that was pretty cool. We had art actually being there for that moment. So that was pretty great. Moving on to Mrs. S, we see her helping Sarah get to Dr. Van Leer as she's posing as Crystal. So there's that. We see Mrs. S staying behind to stay with Kira, even though she wants to go with Sarah to the island to help her out. But unfortunately, she finds herself at gunpoint with Ferdinand back to the safe house, and she can't really do anything because she doesn't want to risk Kira being hurt. So I'm guessing now she really regrets letting Ferdinand into the safe house earlier in the season, because now he knows where they are. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't relocate after letting Ferdinand in, but that's another issue in itself. Speaking of Kira, though, we learn that she worries for all the clones, and she even mentions that she even worries for those that they have not actually met yet. So it seems that Kira has quite a connection to even the clones she has never met, which really needs to be explained further, hopefully. So there's that. Again, with Donnie, we just see him in the woods eating Helena's stew while visiting or temporarily staying in her woodland hut. So there's that. He's trying to make the best of the situation. I'll leave it at that. Now with Art, we see him helping Sarah investigate into Dr. Van Leer, especially after being part of the meeting with Crystal. So there is that. With Ferdinand, we see him return and be reunited with Rachel. They had a bit of sexual fun together, and in which she tries to recruit him into Neolution. And then later on, he holds Mrs. S and Kira as his hostages. Then with Ira, he actually doesn't believe that Rachel would betray him, yet he worries for Susan when he can't get a hold of her. So ultimately, in the end, Ira actually helps Sarah get access to the helicopter that needed to get to the island. So there's that. Not sure if he's actually truly on Sarah's side, or if he's truly lost faith in Rachel, or if he still believes that she can come around from this. Who knows? But with Susan, like I said, Rachel stabbed her, only to bandage her up later on. Don't know what that's about. I actually thought she wasn't going to survive the finale. But like I said before, she announces that she regrets ever making Rachel. So there's that. Another character that we can finally talk about is Delphine. This episode actually started off with flashback to this season 3 finale when Delphine was shot, and it was actually by Detective Duco. And we actually see Crystal spying on Delphine, and then Duco shooting Delphine, and then Delphine being saved by Dr. Van Leer, only to have her transported to the island where that older messenger guy overlooks her recovery. And then later on in the present day, we see Delphine reunited with Cosima, worrying over her and telling her to keep the stolen new genome cells a secret, and how she has to really be careful on the island, especially in that village. So we still have to figure out why she's still on that island, or what her purpose is, or who the people in the village are. So there's still questions about that. For Evie Cho, though, surprising enough, when the Neolution board tries to get her to sign over her technology, when she refuses, they actually kill Evie Cho by activating the implant bot that's in her own jaw. So she gets killed by her own technology for that. And also a new name that I should mention before I forget, because it was kind of hard trying to find it, but it is Dr. Westmoreland. And apparently he is the founder of Neolution back 100 years ago, but apparently there are hints that he is still alive. Susan mentioned that he's the one who created Rachel's new Neolution eye, so something's up with that. So they're making it sound like he's the one that's sending her these visions, and possibly he's the one that Rachel's meeting, but we'll get back into that later. But what was the most shocking moment of the finale for me? It definitely has to be how violent Rachel is in this episode, not only to Susan, but to Sarah as well. Sarah, it's kind of expected, but because of the fact it basically took Rachel 2 seasons to get to this point in her recovery, I'm kind of surprised that she pushed herself as far as she did to attack Susan and Rachel, but then Susan and Sarah, but then Rachel must have really calculated which parts she needed to hit in order to put her in the advantage, since she already had a disadvantage in the fact that she wasn't as mobile as she used to be. She would have been a bit slower than usual, so she had to be very calculating. It was just very surprising. It wasn't surprising that she started a fight with Sarah. It was just surprising how far she went with it because of where she is in her own recovery. I didn't think she'd risk putting a setback on it, if that makes sense. So moving on, top 3 favorite moments. First one has to be Crystal meeting Sarah, and when Felix and Art were there. I totally did not expect Crystal's reaction. I thought she would actually believe the clone theory, so that it, since it's so outrageous, that she would believe it and have it all click for her. But no, she did not believe that Sarah was her clone, because she thinks they look nothing alike, which I wasn't expecting at all. But then to have her fully stick to her conspiracy theory and telling a cop that no, this is how the story goes, and their reaction to just reacting to her was just hilarious. And it makes me wonder what Crystal needs to see in order to believe the fact that there are clones, that she is a clone. I mean, that's something. Also, off of that, Sarah impersonating Crystal, I was completely blindsided by that. I really thought it was Crystal that was doing those interview questions on the street, and then I really thought it was her until Sarah basically revealed that she was her and not Crystal. Usually I love that, though. It really kept me guessing. It really surprised me when I found out that it was another clone impersonation. It really shows how truly talented Tatiana is with these fake outs like that. So it's just, I know in the previous video I said I wanted to see a clone impersonation before the season ended. I just didn't expect it like this. It threw me off, and I love it. So it was great to see that for sure. I love those displays like that. Another favorite moment has to be the reunion between Delphine and Cosima. I really like it. It makes me truly wonder why she's kept her distance, but I'm glad that they reunited. I'll get back into why there's something off about their reunion, though, for me, but I'll get right back to it. But I really like, for them, it seems as if no time has passed. They truly still feel very strongly for each other, worried for each other. Cosima, because she's so far on the brink of death that she doesn't even believe that she's seeing Delphine. She thinks she's hallucinating again, like she did back in the season 2 finale. So it's definitely a shock to the system for Cosima from the looks of it. And I really like that we got to see them on screen together again, for sure. Another favorite moment for me has to be the fact that Donnie and Allison are roughing it out with Helena in her woodland hut. I definitely wasn't expecting that. It's probably nothing to what Allison thought as a temporary getaway from the whole Donnie being arrested thing. So it's pretty funny that not only are they roughing it, but they're doing it in the cold winter. So it's pretty funny. It was great that we actually got to see that too, that they've banded together like that after Helena saved them from that Neolution paramedic. There's the timer. But moving on to top 3 peeved moments. I'm going to talk about the Delphine and Cosima one. Like I said, I do love the reunion. I just don't like the fact that it's shrouded in how sick Cosima is. Why does their reunion have to be when she's on the brink of death? I mean, couldn't they just have it when she's kind of getting worse, but not actually fighting for her life? Yeah, I get it's more dramatic, but do you really want to be reunited with your long lost love while you're almost dying? I mean, I guess that's more motivation for her to fight, but then at this point, Cosima thinks she's hallucinating, so it's just yeah, that's the only thing I had a problem with when it came to Cosima and Delphine, their reunion being at that part in her life, I guess you could say. And then another part would be the fact that Cosima's life is once again on the brink of death during a finale episode, which kind of sucks because season 1 finale is when we first saw her coughing up the blood. Season 2 finale is when she had when she had to use the air tank, and how she hallucinated and thought that she kind of died while sleeping and it came back, and one of those moments. And then the season 3 finale, she was kind of safe because it was the dinner party, and then this one, she's on the brink of death again. It's what? I don't know. It's just, it's come to the point where I'm kind of expecting the finale to be Cosima's life on the line again, even though it's kind of been a gradual thing over the season when they're on the timeline for her health. But it's an irritating reminder for sure. And another major peeve I had was basically my confusion over Rachel's true motivations. What is the benefit of her producing more clones while putting Evie Cho's implant bots in them? I mean, what purpose could she possibly have in doing that? And I thought she didn't like the clone project, so why would she want to restart that up again? Or is she only restarting that so she can use those clones to find a way to cure herself? I don't know. It's just, with Rachel, I can never tell her motives or her plan until it's completely too late and you actually see it unfold before you. So yeah, that's probably, the confusion is probably the only reason why I'm a bit peeved by her part. But it definitely stays true to Rachel form and how she's very deceptive and keeping her cards close to her chest. But what will I remember most about this finale episode? The fact that all the clones are separated. You got Sarah bleeding on the island. You got Cosima on her deathbed, but at least with Delphine. You got Allison and Helena roughing it in the woods. And then you got Rachel, who is meeting some mystery person while in some mansion on the island. So it's I missed what we had at the dinner party last season. But moving on to random questions very quickly. First one, if Cosima stole the cell samples that created the new original genome, then did Rachel lie to the Neolution board members about having those cell samples just so that she could get her mysterious meeting? And who is she meeting back at the house? Is it actually Dr. Westmoreland, the founder of Neolution, or is it someone else that is connected to him? What do you think about that? If you have any comments or your own theories or an actual answer to that question, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to get a further understanding about that. But next question, how long does Cosima have? I mean, technically it's been 4 seasons that her life has pretty much been on the brink of destruction. but for the characters, it's definitely a different time lapse. But how long do you think she has? I hope they find some sort of breakthrough in regards to curing her, or they prolong her health so that they could buy themselves more time to create a cure or a treatment to cure them. But Casima's just not having it so well. She's definitely, her health is not really doing so good. But next question. Does Crystal still not believe the clone truth? Does she need to meet more clones to accept the fact that she herself is a clone? Or is she just going to think that they don't resemble her whatsoever? I gotta say, her reaction is pretty funny. It's definitely not how Sarah reacted. It's definitely not how Tony reacted. Although the extent of what Tony was told, I have to review. But Crystal's reaction was not what I was expecting, though I'm glad that she sort of got included in the Clone Club. I don't know. But what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. As you know. Last question. What is Sarah going to do about Ferdinand threatening her family back home while she is stuck on the island? First off, how do you even get to the safe house with all Mrs. S's people surrounding it? But then again, Ferdinand is a proficient killer. I'm wondering if Helena is going to step in, but then she's out in the woods and not really as mobile as she used to be. So, and Sarah's bleeding out on a beach, on a shore of a very rocky ocean shoreline. I don't know. It's definitely quite a rocky cliffhanger for Sarah to end off on. But moving on to predictions, guys, though. After the finale aired last week, since I'm recording a week later, it was revealed that Orphan Black was renewed for season 5, so we get one more season. But it was also revealed that season 5 will be the last season for the show. And while I am excited that we get season 5, I am heartbroken that it's going to be the last. And with that being said, with them knowing that this is their final season, they could pretty much do anything. Thankfully, they could wrap up all storylines like they planned, or with it being paced out properly enough that it doesn't seem like a forced ending. But that means anything could truly go. It means we could really lose Cosima. We can lose any of the clones because they don't have to worry about bringing any of them back for season 6. So that has me worried a lot. But what I do like is the fact that we're gonna get those answers that we've been waiting for. So there's that. Like, will they find a cure? Or will they find a treatment to prolong them time to find a cure? Will we learn who is really in charge of the clone project? Is it really this Dr. Westmoreland, or is it someone else that's pulling their strings? What about Kira's connection to the clones? Are we going to learn more about that, or how she's able to have that type of connection to them? Are we going to meet any more clones? Will we know more about clones? Will we get more flashbacks like we did with Beth this season? How about Helena? Will she give birth to her twins in the coming season, or will it be in the series finale, or what? Because she looks about ready to pop, so we gotta see that. Also, what about Rachel? Will she win in her quest for power, or will she finally be stopped? Lots of questions we gotta figure out, but let me know what you think down in the comments below about any of your own predictions, or what you thought about the finale, or about the whole season in general. Love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. I do plan on doing a video later on, hopefully soon, about my top favorite episodes of this season. So be on the lookout for that. I'm still catching up with a few more videos, so patience. But thank you for tuning in to see what I have to say about the finale episode. I really appreciate it. I did not plan to be delayed this long, but there's that. Also, if you want to check out my Tumblr page, the link for that is down below. Although I did sign on recently, like I've mentioned before, I am behind. And apparently all my tagging has been messed up, so I don't know how that happened. But I'm hoping it can get fixed. If not, I'll let you know. But the link down below should still work, so check that out. But I am behind on updating all of it, so eventually it'll be finished once I fix this tagging stuff. But the link's there for you to check out later on. If you want, follow me there as well. All the news and stuff, I usually reblog, so that's always a best place if you want to stay connected to what I find relevant to all the TV shows I follow. And that's about it. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you come back to see what my top favorite episodes are. Until then, you can always check out my other videos to see what other shows I talk about that you're interested in. And yeah, so until then, this is Mel wishing you a great day, great week wherever you are. Until then, bye for now.